My number one piece of advice to people looking to make gains in the gym, it's not to progressive overload. Oh my goodness, had I gone back in time and progressive overloaded all the time, I'd certainly be an IFBB pro on the Olympia stage. No, my number one piece of advice, Coach Greg, and in today's video, why progressive overload is killing your gains. And I know you're thinking, but that's exactly how you make progress. Well, yes, but if you base all your training on progressive overload every single time, you have the plan written out, it's set in stone, you go to the gym thinking, well, I'm just gonna follow this and I'm gonna get amazing results. You're not. You're gonna come in through hurdles, obstacles, and you're not always going to be able to progressive overload. And this video is stemmed by a sub who had a valid question. He writes, "Hey Greg, recently I watched your full body workout, and in that video you said if you have a machine that is taken, just go to another one that works the same muscles. My question is, how can I track progressive overload when I'm not doing the exact same exercise every time? People think that they need something set in stone. Do this many sets for this many reps with exactly this much rest between sets. And if you can't do that, well, how would I know if I'm progressive overloading? How am I going to make the gains? I need it exactly written out for me." And so what? If you go to the gym and the machine's broken, you go home and say, well, my training is done. I can't progressive overload. How would I know how I'm making progress? Well, you go to the gym and you train, and the next time you train harder than last time. It always boils down to training harder than last time. Progressive overload is not some script, a program that your coach or someone wrote out for you, and all you need to do is follow it, and your gains are indefinite. You'll probably be Mr. Olympia one day, break world records in powerlifting. For example, Mr. Who's the Boss, over 10 million followers, decided he's gonna get in shape. Gonna do it in 90 days. Said progressive overload is the key. Sure. So his plan? He's gonna go to the gym, do 8 reps, next workout, 10, then 12, add weight, go back down to 8, 10, 12, and so on.
If I can pull this off, then in this 3-month period, I will have been able to practically double the strength of my entire body.
If it was that simple, all you have to do is progressive overload, follow a plan. Everyone would be a world champion. Problem is, you're not always going to get stronger. You're not always capable of doing better. Some days you're having an off day. You're sore, not in the mood, not recovered. And so if you think you can just progressive overload every single time, you're going to run into some serious obstacles. You're either going to go to the gym and use sloppy form or technique. You're going to start ego lifting, trying to lift heavier and heavier all the time, or you're going to blame your lack of progress on your coach and or the fact that you're natural.
Oh, I'm natural. I can't progress. All those guys who are making gains, they're on those PDs.
So all progressive overload is going to do, it's going to feel like it's your fault, that somehow you're not doing things wrong. When truth is, nobody can progress every single time. It is impossible to always get better. And so rather than thinking you always need to progressive overload, think, I'm always going to try to train harder. To train harder than last time. Will you always be able to train harder? Of course not. Some days you're not in the mood. You don't feel like it. You do your best you can, perhaps not as good as the last time, and then guess what? The next workout after that, then you go harder than that workout. You always go train harder than last time. And so getting back to that guy's question, well, first of all, you don't always need to go in and do the exact same exercises. Variety can, in fact, be a good thing. And so if that machine is taken on that day, you choose another one. Regardless of knowing how many you did last time, you choose that machine and you put in the work, the effort. If it says to go within 1 to 3 reps of failure, you choose a different exercise and you stop about 1 to 3 reps of failure. And so rather than tracking how much weight you're lifting every time, you're tracking your effort. How hard are you going? And get this, almost everyone in the gym doesn't train hard enough. Chances are you are not training hard enough. Some of you are training too hard. But for the most part, when I tell people to train harder, it's because the majority of people do not train hard enough. And if they were to train harder, they would get greater gains. Now, if you're always sore, you can't recover, you're not making gains in the gym, you're not in the mood to train, chances are you probably training too hard. Perhaps back off a little bit. But for everyone else, you're never sore, you don't feel overtrained, you're in the mood to train, chances are you can probably handle a little bit more. Look around the room. Look, watch. Next time you go to the gym, watch how hard everyone else is training. If you're not the hardest worker in the room, chances are you probably could train harder. If you're always the hardest worker in the room, perhaps you could back off a little bit. That is better than saying, I'm going to do this exact amount of weight, this many reps, and then stop. The program said 80 pounds for 10 reps. You could have done 20 and you're stopping. Why? Because you want a progressive overload? Well, I did 8 reps today. I'm going to do 9 next day, and 10 the next, 11 next, and then 12. And then I'm going to take a deload week. Meanwhile, you could have done 20 reps the entire time. Yeah, you're progressive overloading, but you haven't even reached the minimum stimulus to make some growth. So train harder. Hard. How hard should you train? Harder than last time. It shouldn't be easy. It's not simple. If you want the gains, how bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough to suffer when you go to the gym? To push past the pain barrier? I don't mean training when you're injured. I mean, you're getting that lactic acid, it's burning, you want to stop. But you don't, you keep going. Progressive overload also applies to cardio. But you think every single time I ride on my bike, I'm thinking, oh, I better go for 1 extra minute today and perform at 1 extra watt. And I better do the exact same route every single time because heaven forbid, how do I track progress? And so when I ride my bike, I ride as hard as I can. I push myself to the limits that I can handle on that day. Some days I set a PR. Yeah, awesome. Most days I just ride hard. I can't improve 1 watt every single week. Oftentimes it takes months to make even a 1% difference of an improvement. And think of it, if you can improve 1% a week, you think I'm getting twice as fast in 2 years? I'd be winning the Tour de France within 2 years. Makes no sense. And so stop tracking and analyzing every single detail. You don't need to write the weight, the reps, how many times you rested every single day. Did I go take a poop? Did I take a sip of water? Oh my goodness, I better track that. It's ruining people's progress. Making people think that if they don't succeed, it's somehow their fault. All you can do is the best that you can do. Regardless of what the training program says or how strong it predicts you're going to be, it's not set in stone. It's a piece of paper saying what your plan is. And so there's nothing wrong with progressive overload, but thinking it's the be all end all and all you need to do is progressive overload and you're going to get the dream physique, it's not the way. No matter how good your program is, no matter what PDs you're on, there's going to be a day you go to the gym and you cannot hit the sets, reps, the weight that's indicated on that plan. Doesn't mean it's your fault. Doesn't mean it didn't get enough sleep. Doesn't mean you didn't bulk hard enough. If you always think you need to progressive overload, what do you think you're going to do on those days when you cannot? You're going to allow your form to slip. You're going to go easier. You're going to take shortcuts. You're going to do things wrong and start ego lifting. Or you're going to think, well, I'm not making any progress. I'm natural. I guess it's time to get on some PDs. That is not the way. You need to just do your best, try your hardest, train harder than last time, and eventually you'll become as good as you were meant to be. And so progressive overload wasn't meant to write out a pre-planned script. I'm going to add 2 reps to my workout every single day for a month, and then after a month, I'm going to take a week-long deload. Then I'm going to start with 10% more weight. I'm going to do this back and forth, mesocycle, mesocycle, and in 6 months, Mr. Olympia champion. It's not the way. Progressive overload is to tell people this basic principle. If you do the exact same thing every single day, over and over again, repeat it year after year, your body eventually not going to improve. It's going to say, I'm not getting any better. There's no reason to. You do the exact same run, 10K, 45 minutes every single day. Why should I get faster? You lift the exact same weight, 100 pounds for 10 reps, day after day, year after year. There's no reason for the bicep to get any stronger doing those curls. And so all you need to know about progressive overload is you need to place greater demands on the human body in order for it to need to get bigger, faster, stronger. It doesn't need to be with the same machine or cardio device. It doesn't have to be with reps, sets, weights. It can be anything that, guess what? Harder than last time. And for those who critique harder than last time, saying, well, you can't always train harder than last time. Of course you can't. I know this. That's why you try. You try to train harder. You go to the gym, you train as hard as you can. The next day, you try to train harder than that. Whatever you did the last day, try to do it a bit harder. The body just needs a greater stimulus, some reason to get stronger, bigger, faster, and so on. I remember back in the task, normally after the best day I ever had, I was so excited, so much dopamine, I set a PR on the bench. The next workout, almost always did worse. Why? Because it's hard to get way better every single day. And so after a high, after you do really good, exceptionally well, body usually needs time to recover to get better. And no, it doesn't mean you trained wrong, that you went too hard that day. You did the best you could. You set a PR. Maybe another month, you'll set another PR. You can't PR every single day you go to the gym. As bad as you want it, as exciting as that would be, can't do it. Perhaps the first time you take PDs for a couple months, you're going to set PRs every single time you train. But even with PDs, it's not going to last forever. And so my number one piece of advice to people looking to make gains in the gym, it's not to progressive overload. Oh my goodness, had I gone back in time and progressive overloaded all the time, I'd certainly be an IFBB pro on the Olympia stage. No, my number one piece of advice, train hard. Train hard. And how hard? Harder than last time. If you can do that, I promise you, you are going to get the gains. And if you can't get any more gains, well, you did the best you could. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IP Pro. Please check out the boops. And remember, the free training program, close to 20 pages. Click the link in the description. Become a newsletter subscriber. Subscribe. Click the bell button. Comment for the algorithm. The Circle Diet book, to cookbooks, the training books, coaching plans by me and my team. And until next time, I am out.